It was that one thing that simply made sense in the senseless world.
To be honest, I don't know if I could have been more obsessed. I would spend all of my free time and not so free time reading about esotericism and the occult. I would sit in the class way in the back and I would be reading my books, acting like I was paying attention, but I would just be reading my witchy books and taking notes. I was so ready to leave this boring life behind and become a witch, because this fantasy world that I was just completely obsessed with became something tangible, became something I could practice. It became my reality. This meant that anything could be possible, that I could change what I didn't like about myself or the world that was around me, that transformation and life had magic. Now life didn't feel so pointless. It felt like I had a new meaning, a new place where I belong. Religious trauma is real. The religion that I was forced to participate in didn't accept my natural desires, men, and magic. I would always be thinking that something bad would happen to me, and I just felt all of this Catholic guilt upon me because I was doing something that was supposedly wrong, but was feeling so right in my body and in my soul. I just felt that without this magic, without this spiritual experience, life would lose its shine, that I wouldn't feel so motivated to wake up. It became that language and that mythos that really activated me in the morning. And if I were to lose a bit of that magic, if I were to lose kind of like that structure, that sense of being, that sense of belonging, I would just feel that life was pointless, that I would just want the days to pass on quicker so that I can get through every day to see if one day things would feel better or more magical. And I think that's what it was all about, because aren't we all searching for a reason? Why do I wake up in the morning? Why go to work? Why study? Why try? Why? And well, we spend most of our life in this search for meaning. We read books, we try waking up at 5 in the morning or before sunrise. We go to the gym, we try new workouts, we go to the therapist. Always in that search for meaning, for confirmation, for a sense that we're doing things right, to feel better. But what if it's not about searching and just experiencing? Thing is, experiences help us remember. It is through experiencing, kind of like how in mystery cults of ancient religions that would have all of these secret initiations and all of these different ways of connecting with the divine, where really it wasn't the knowledge or the things that they would do outside of themselves. It was more about the experience that transformed them, that changed them, that really made them feel very intense emotions, yes. Even the ones that we would categorize as good or bad. And that is like one of the major things of not categorizing our experiences as good or bad, but quite the contrary, just being accepting to the experience how it comes. Because even what we sometimes categorize as a bad experience can end up being something that shapes us, that transforms us. And most of these ancient practices and religious rituals, it was actually about that. It was about experiencing darkness or a sensation of death and rebirth. And through these experiences, you come out reborn, transformed, like the death card that is here to transform us, to change us. Because this really sits in our body, or we really sit in our body when we're going through these experiences, and we connect with a kind of super intelligence, like that knowledge of the body, that memory of the body is awakened, and that way we remember better. We actually go through that transformation. I like to think of it as like nature. When you're out here in nature and you could just tell that something has a pulse, that something has like a spirit within it, the super intelligence, like how trees just know how to grow and give fruits, how the animals just know when to migrate, how these beings just possess the super intelligence, which is the intelligence of the body, that other part of us that isn't rational, that isn't that abstract intelligence. It's what Jung calls the collective unconscious, and you could just see it everywhere in nature. And it gives me like this sense of peace when I see nature, when I see animals. There's a cat there. I don't know if you can see the cat. That they just know. And actually, so do we. Our little rational brain just overthinks everything, and we think that we don't know, when truly we do know. It's easier said than done because most of these very important and transformative experiences that we have in life actually come from discomfort, from confronting our pain, our physical, our mental and spiritual anguish. The gold that the ancient alchemists talked about is mined from the darkest pits of our existence. I too have paid Charon a coin to transport me through the river Styx and down into the underworld. I have lost complete faith in everything when my external world simply did not comply with my desires. I too have been stuck in a tumultuous relationship that made every single fucking day a living hell. The fights that got physical, screams, jealousy, manipulation, and wishing the other to burn in hell. Maybe Satan did come and get me. I was tricked by the devil to believe in love ruled by obsession. I believed that all the evil doings of my lover were how they showed me love. Even in dark times, magic saved me. Magic obviously was not the solution for everything, but even through all of the negative experiences that I will continue to live, because that's what happens when you're human. You come here to experience both the light and the dark, but I do feel that I made a few friends in the underworld. I made a few friends in the dark parts of my life, the dark nights of the soul. In those periods, I befriended these chthonic spirits. And yes, Hecate, I'm talking about you. Definitely through these practices, I made sense of the shadow. I made sense of the what we so call bad experiences. Yes, they are dark. Yes, they can sometimes turn violent, aggressive, kind of in a way that we just want to look away from them. But these experiences, and with the power of Hecate, I really learned that through darkness you learn about freedom, strength, discipline, and to be fearless. In those very dark times and where you supposedly lose hope, I remember that I regained a sense of purpose and of strength and of fighting for what I believe in and defending what was mine. The thing is, when you step into the underworld, you do come back. You know, there is the myth of that only certain gods can go into the underworld and, come out, and that our soul, if it goes, it belongs to Hades. But I know that you're capable of coming back. The thing is, you do an exchange, and you never come back being the same person. That transformative experience gives us wisdom. It gives us power, and power cannot be gifted. It has to be earned. One of the most important parts of magic is that it helped me give significance to that horror.
And I read from a Substack article from the Jungian alchemist, and I got this phrase which it really resonated with me. One cannot access divine love by ignoring the power of the secret fire. We must allow ourselves to descend into that personal and cosmic hell in order to liberate the light trapped within it. And I just feel that that really calls to that alchemical fire that sometimes it burns us, but other times it can definitely transform us into something better, stronger, or not better, not in those terms, but definitely different. Through my dabbling here and there in the art of the occult, I learned and understood that change is the love language of the universe. And I get a lot of questions on TikTok, sometimes on Instagram. Oh, how did you gain this skill? Do we all have this skill? And magic is something that is innate to all of us. Our capacity to change is our most powerful magic, and we can all change. Thing is, a lot of us are very resistant to change, and that's why we don't reconnect with our power of magic. And as Aleister Crowley put it, magic is the science and the art of causing change to occur in conformity to will. This phrase could be a whole video and essay explaining will that is very deep, philosophical, occult conversations that I'm not going to be having, at least in this video. Maybe I'll post it on a Substack article, but I won't be having it in this video. In the end, to practice magic is to be co-creators. To practice magic is to be the creator of the change that we want to see in our world. And we all have that. We just have to learn to contemplate nature, and how in nature there's always this pulse of change, of transformation, that is also part of that super intelligence of adapting, of changing, of transforming. To know that we just have to be open to experience life, that we cannot hold on to certainty. And the harder that we hold on to certainty, the more that we suffer. And just be open to change and hope that change will make us better or stronger. In this amazing podcast called This Jungian Podcast, they have an episode on solutio, which is the alchemy of letting go, and it goes in depth into the power of water, of dissolving ourselves, and that being a symbolic representation of the ego dissolving. I would check it out. It's very incredible. I'm going to read a quotation, which I think it's like loosely taken because I wrote it physically from the podcast, and it says, "Solutio is the alchemical stage linked to water. It's when matter, rigid structures, are made into water by being dissolved. This dissolution happens when something smaller is immersed in something greater that can contain it." This is very important. This metaphor goes towards also held ideas. If a held idea that is lesser is held within something greater, then it will be transformed. I really connect it also with love, and they also talk how the ancient Greeks in the myth of Aphrodite, we can see how water has this transformative power. How Aphrodite, goddess of love, her big power is through her capacity to transform us. Psychologically speaking, Aphrodite's sea birth, her being born from the sea, marks love as a watery nature, as a watery force that liquefies fixed structures, the masculine. This just lets us know that love transforms us only if we are capable of being dissolved in its transformative powers, of dissolving into someone else, dissolving into another world of emotions and things like that, where our ego will definitely fall. In the end, we come out of the experience of love transformed. So I definitely do feel that love has that watery, transformative nature. And in that case, for me, love is magic because it calls for transformation. It calls to change you after an experience of love. No matter how rough or beautiful and ecstatic it was, you come out changed, transformed from that experience. Which leads me to love is a cult, or the cult of love is like the mystery religions of the ancient times, where it is through the experience of the unknown experience of what love is, because we all talk about it and people try to talk about academically, chemically, and all of these things. But even if we try to use all of these words, only the experience of love can be felt or experienced, yet never fully explained. Also, its transformative power, because if I really look at most of my tarot readings, and if we look around our world, isn't that what we're all looking for? We're all looking for love. But most people are just not capable of changing and knowing that love requires transformation. We must learn to assimilate the experience and not just call off our exes as just, oh no, they were my crazy ex. They're probably projecting your own fears. They're probably projecting a part of you that is also important. We just have to really sit with the experience, assimilate it, confront it, not push it away. I was like, oh, they were crazy, or oh, they hurt me, or they were a cunt. No, sit with the experience, the pain, process it, and see how the experience changed you. Bell Hooks in All About Love said, all awakening to love is spiritual awakening. And I believe so. If we open our heart to love, it's a completely spiritual awakening. It's a dissolving of our ego, of always knowing that it probably won't be forever, because life isn't forever and there is no certainty behind it, but our heart is capable of dissolving into that person. It is of having the courageousness to love and be changed. So the practice and study of magic gave me a few particular things. It gave me a new way to see the world, to talk about it, to experience it, to explain it through ritual, through different words, through connection with my dreams and my subconscious. It gave me hope that even in the darkest times there is something meaningful, that also where we place our energy is where things tend to go, so that we can definitely transform dense experiences. We can transform them into knowledge, into gold, and we don't have to stay there forever. And it also awakened in me a lust for life, a lust to go out into the world and experience it, to force myself to know that the magic is out in the world, out in the forest, out in connection with others, and in love. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. I normally go live on TikTok, so you can go follow me on my other socials down there. I'm pretty active there as well. And leave me a comment. What does salvation feel to you? How is the concept and idea of salvation something that does it exist in your mind? Is it something you could explain? Because I feel that magic saved me. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Bye.